Part 1. Profit is a dream. Capital is your life. If I asked you a question and you were forced to answer honestly, no embellishment, no trying to make it sound nice, then in trading, what is your biggest dream? Don't answer too quickly. Let that question hang in your mind for a few seconds. Because most people who answer too fast are the ones who end up paying the highest price. Most traders say they want big profits. They want a life-changing trade. They want time freedom. They want financial freedom. They want to quit their job. They want to escape the feeling of waking up every morning feeling heavy, trapped in a loop they never chose. There is nothing wrong with dreaming like that. I had the same dream. I once sat in front of that screen, eyes glued to the chart, believing the market was my way out. Believing that just a string of winning trades, just one strong move, would change everything in my life. No more worrying about money. No more asking permission for my own time. No more feeling like I was living someone else's life. But today, I want to tell you a truth that is very hard to swallow. A truth most traders don't want to hear. And the reason so many people close the video the moment they reach this point. Profit may be your dream, but capital is your life. And once your life is gone, you no longer have the right to dream. I'm not saying this as some empty philosophy. I'm saying it from real experience. From prices I paid that no book ever warned clearly enough. I was just like you. In the beginning, everything looked beautiful. The first trade made money, the second trade made money, the third trade made money. Confidence started to soar. That feeling is extremely dangerous. It's not loud, it doesn't scream, it doesn't scare you. It just whispers, I'm starting to understand the market. I'm different from the crowd. I have talent. And right there, the biggest mistake of my trading life began. Not when I lost, but when I won. One day the market turned. I took a loss. I thought, it's fine, normal. The next trade will make it back. But the market didn't listen. Second loss, third loss. And then, like 90% of traders, I did something I would later understand as a self-destructive instinct. I increased risk. I increased position size. I started treating stop loss not as protection, but as an insult to my ego. I didn't think I was breaking discipline. I thought I was being more decisive. I didn't think I was reckless. I thought I was confident. That day, what was lost was not profit. That day was a direct attack on my capital. But at the time, I didn't understand that. I thought I was just having a bad day. I thought the market was testing me. I thought if I pushed a little harder, if I stayed stubborn a little longer, everything would return to normal. This is the point where most traders begin their free fall. Not because they don't understand theory, but because they don't want to face the truth that the problem isn't the market. It's how they treat their capital. If you're still here, maybe you didn't come to be a trader. Maybe you came to become a trader who survives. Listen very carefully. In the market, you are allowed to be wrong, but you are not allowed to break. Profit comes later. First, you must stay alive. Capital is not just money. It is the ability to take the next trade. It is the calm to think clearly. It is the power of choice. It is the freedom to make decisions without fear crushing your chest. The day you lose your capital, all choices end. And in trading, the person with no choices is the person eliminated from the game. Ask yourself one very simple question. If your capital went to zero today, would you still be in the market next month? No. So, why do you put profit before capital? Amateur traders ask, how much did I make today? Professional traders ask, how much capital did I protect today? Not because they are less ambitious, but because they understand something most beginners don't. The market offers opportunities every day, but if capital is gone, opportunities are gone too. That is the difference between trading as a game and trading as a profession. One person bets to win today. The other manages risk to exist tomorrow. And the real question is not how much you once made. The real question is, why did the capital disappear? If this part makes you uncomfortable, trust me, that's a good sign. Because what feels good to hear rarely saves any account. From here, the real story begins. Part 2. When profit becomes the enemy. The moment you start asking why capital disappeared, you stand at a crossroads that very few traders ever reach. Because most people don't want to dig into that question. They prefer to blame the market, the news, stop hunts, other people being better, a system that isn't good enough. But very few dare to face a far more uncomfortable truth. That the thing quietly killing capital every day is not strategy. It's the hunger for profit. It sounds paradoxical. Because profit is why you entered the market. Yet it is also what makes many accounts disappear the fastest. After those losing trades, I could have turned off the computer, stood up, walked away from the screen, accepted that today wasn't my day, but I didn't. Because there was only one voice in my head. Just one more trade. Just make it back today. I can't end the day like this. Have you heard that voice before? It doesn't shout. It doesn't pressure you. It speaks softly, logically, persuasively, and because it sounds reasonable, you believe it. From that moment on, profit becomes the enemy of capital. Not because you want to get rich fast, but because you want the pain to stop fast. Look closely at the trades you take after a loss. They no longer come from analysis. They come from anger, from fear, from a wounded ego, from the urge to prove you're still right. At that moment, you don't really need profit. You just want to erase the discomfort tightening your chest. You want your account to return to its previous number so your mind can calm down. You want to breathe again, like before the loss. But the market doesn't care how much pain you're in. It doesn't know how much you just lost. And it has no obligation to give you a chance to recover. That's why after losses, most traders' behavior starts to change in very dangerous ways. They increase risk. They increase position size. They tighten stop losses. They break rules while telling themselves, just this once. You think if this trade works, everything will be fine. You think one more trade is all it takes. But the market doesn't run on the word if. Listen carefully. Profit cannot be forced, but capital can evaporate from a single wrong decision. Profit is built slowly. Capital is destroyed in an instant. This imbalance kills 90% of traders, not because they're stupid, but because the human brain isn't designed to handle continuous financial risk in an emotional state. Retail traders ask, how much can I make on this trade? Professional traders ask a completely different question. If this trade is wrong, how much do I keep? Those two questions create two very different destinies. When you focus on profit, you unconsciously accept more risk than you can handle. When you focus on capital, you are forced to respect your own limits. The hunger for profit doesn't kill you immediately. It kills you through a series of small decisions. Each decision seems reasonable at the time. Increase size just a little. Loosen the stop loss just a little. Take one trade outside the plan. It's fine, I can control it. You don't collapse in one day. You leak capital little by little, until one day you look at your account and don't understand how things went this far. And the most dangerous part is that along the way, you lose something more valuable than money. You lose calm. You lose clear thinking. You lose choice. When capital is heavily damaged, you're no longer trading. You're reacting. You're praying. You're hoping. And from that moment on, you're no longer a trader. You become someone led by the market. Ask yourself a hard question. Are you trading to build long-term profit? Or are you trading to escape discomfort right now? If it's the second, your problem isn't strategy. It's your relationship with money and emotion. The hunger for profit doesn't come from simple greed. It comes from fear of not being enough, fear of being slower than others, fear of missing out, fear of not being as good as you thought. And the market always punishes those who bring that fear into their trades. Not because the market is cruel, but because the market only reflects what's inside you. If you bring haste into trading, you'll receive punishment. If you bring patience, you give yourself a chance to stay. By now, you may be realizing something deeply uncomfortable, that the biggest enemy of capital isn't the market, it's you in your weakest moments. And from there, another question begins to form. If it's not strategy, if it's not the market, then what is silently killing capital every day that so few people notice? The answer lies in a familiar but underestimated disease in trading. A disease that doesn't explode, doesn't shock, but kills accounts quietly. I have a strategy. I have setups. I know what I should do, but I don't have patience. And in trading, at some point, you will understand a brutal truth. When patience runs out, capital runs out. Part 3. Overtrading is the silent killer. When I say I don't lack strategy or setups, only patience, many people nod immediately because they see themselves in that sentence. But very few understand how ruthless impatience really is in trading. Overtrading doesn't start with stupidity. It starts with confidence. A few easy days in the market, a few trades that go your way. A familiar feeling appears. I'm catching the market's rhythm. I'm reading it. Not taking more trades would be a waste. And so, you take more trades than necessary, not because there are more opportunities, but because you can't tolerate staying out. This is the point most traders miss. Staying out of the market is also a decision, and it's far harder than clicking the buy or sell button. The human brain hates waiting. It hates doing nothing. It hates watching others make money while you sit still. And the market exploits that weakness perfectly. It doesn't take your capital with one fatal blow. It lets you bleed yourself slowly. One extra trade, one rushed decision, one ignored warning feeling in your head. You start telling yourself the trade looks pretty okay, that the risk is not that big, that you can handle it if you're wrong, until one day you open your account and the number feels unfamiliar, not because of a crash, but because of hundreds of small cuts you inflicted on yourself. The danger of overtrading is that it doesn't shock you, it doesn't panic you immediately, it exhausts you, it erodes clarity, it gets you used to making decisions in a half-awake state, and in that state, you start breaking rules without guilt. You loosen stop losses to let price breathe. You trade outside your trading hours. You trade simply because you're bored. The market is patient. It can wait until you're tired, until you're bored, until you lose discipline. And when it finally comes back to test you, all the small deviations you accumulated explode at once. If you protect your capital that day, you win. If not, you become a story the market tells others. The market doesn't kill you in one strike. It gives you enough rope to hang yourself with small decisions. Increase risk a bit more. Ignore the stop loss a bit more. Believe this time it must work, until you can't bring yourself to look at your own account. At that point, profit is no longer a reward. It becomes an obsession. Every chart makes your heart race. Every candle feels like a threat. And this is when capital reveals its true nature. Capital is not just a tool. Capital is responsibility. Reward comes later. Responsibility comes first. If you chase profit, capital will run from you, quietly, without warning. It just disappears. And here's the question very few dare to ask because the answer is uncomfortable. If the market gives me no profit today, am I still qualified to trade tomorrow? If the answer is no, understand this clearly. You are not a trader. You're standing in the same line as a gambler. Capital protection rules aren't complex. They're just boring. And because they're boring, very few people follow them to the end. Not entering a trade is a decision. Turning off the screen is a skill. Leaving your chair and accepting that today isn't your day, that's strength. Daily loss limits aren't designed to protect you from the market. They exist to protect you from yourself, from moments when ego wants control more than reason. Protecting capital isn't cowardice. It's respect for risk. Risk isn't losing money. Risk is losing the ability to keep playing. One day, if you stay long enough, you'll realize the problem was never whether you knew the rules. It was whether you live by the identity of a trader. Professional traders don't see themselves as money hunters. They see themselves as risk managers. And from the moment you accept that role, your view of the market changes. Trading should be boring. If your trading is exciting, your capital is in danger. But to reach that boring state, you must let go of a powerful illusion. The illusion that you must always be in the market. The illusion that not trading means missing out. The illusion that every candle is an opportunity. It isn't. Opportunities aren't scarce. Discipline is. And here, the most important question begins to appear. If you understand capital protection, if you understand patience, if you understand what real risk is, then how does a trader not only survive, but grow in this market? Part 4. Real traders know when to do nothing. If you're still listening, it means something small but crucial has already changed inside you. Not a change in knowledge, a change in perspective. You begin to understand that trading is not a game of big wins. It's a game of not dying early. And to avoid dying early in this market, you must accept a very counterintuitive truth. What keeps you alive the longest is not being smarter than others, but knowing when to step back. Many traders think maturity means sharper entries, faster analysis, more sensitive chart reading. But real maturity begins quietly. You trade less. You skip more setups. You accept that not trading today is fine. This phase is uncomfortable. Your ego will resist fiercely. It will say, I've learned so much, why stand aside? I see the opportunity. Wasting it would be stupid. I'm not a newbie anymore. And right here, traders split into two paths. One returns to the old road, The other steps into maturity. Immature traders want the market to prove them right. Mature traders just want the market not to break them. They don't need to win today. They need to exist after today. From that point on, every trade looks different. A trade is no longer a money opportunity. It's a risk to be managed. They don't ask, how much do I make if I'm right? They ask, what's the worst case if I'm wrong? Can I accept that? If the answer is no, that trading, no matter how beautiful, is not worth taking. This is why many long-term traders look boring. They don't show off trades. They don't brag about profits. They're not excited when markets open. They do their job, then they leave, because they understand something most beginners don't. Mental energy is also a form of capital. Every decision consumes it. Every tense moment in front of a chart costs you clarity. When that energy runs out, your trading degrades, even if the strategy stays the same. Mature traders protect financial capital. Professional traders protect mental capital too. They know when to stop, when to rest, when not to push anymore. And here's a truth few want to hear. Some days, the best trading action is doing nothing. Not because the market has no opportunity, but because you are not in the right state to take it. Weak traders fear missing opportunities. Strong traders fear losing discipline. You start to notice that if today you must force yourself to trade, convince yourself you're okay, reassure yourself that it'll be fine, then you probably should stop. Because trading doesn't require that kind of effort. Trading requires clarity. Clarity in your mind, clarity in your plan, clarity in risk limits. When that clarity is gone, every trade becomes gambling, no matter how much you know. By now, you may feel a major shift, from wanting to beat the market to wanting to live peacefully with it. You no longer try to control the future. You only try to control your behavior in the present. That's the only thing you truly control. The market will do what it wants. You can't change that. But how you respond to it, that is your choice. And from that choice, a new trader identity forms. Not a profit hunter, a guardian of survival. And if you go far enough down this path, you'll reach one final truth. A truth that makes many abandon the dream of getting rich fast, but allows a very few to last a very long time. Part 5. Survive first. Profit comes later. That final truth isn't glamorous. It doesn't make you feel special. It doesn't feel like victory. But if you accept it, your trading will never be the same. No trade is mandatory, but capital always is. You can skip 10 trades, 100 trades. The market will still be there tomorrow, next week, next year. But once capital is gone, it can take years to recover or never return at all. Many traders are trapped in a dangerous illusion that if they don't trade, they're missing out. But what they're really missing isn't profit. It's the chance to make mistakes. Professional traders don't try to control the future. They protect the present. They don't need to know whether this trade will win. They only need to know that if it loses, their life tomorrow remains unaffected. And here, a very simple question. One few dare to answer honestly appears before every trade. If this trade is wrong, will I sleep peacefully tonight? If the answer is no, the trade isn't worth taking, no matter how beautiful the setup, no matter how high the probability. Because trading isn't a place to prove you're right. It's a place to survive. Mature traders understand this. They're not paid for predicting. They're paid for managing risk. Profit doesn't prove skill. Protecting capital proves maturity. Anyone can make money for a day, a week, even a few months. But preserving capital for years, through every market condition and emotional state, that's rare. At some point, if you continue this path, you must give up one thing, the dream of getting rich fast. That dream has buried more accounts than anything else. Not because it's evil, but because it makes you willing to trade what should never be traded. No trader is eliminated for moving too slowly. They're eliminated for moving too fast before they're ready. Trading has no finish line. There are only those still in the game and those already eliminated. The ultimate winner isn't the one who makes the most in a period. It's the one who is never eliminated. From the day I accepted that I wasn't here to be a hero, but to survive, everything changed. Not earning more, but earning longer. My trading became quieter, more boring, less emotional, but my account became more stable. I stopped chasing excitement in every trade. I started seeking peace after every session, and that peace is the foundation on which profit survives. If you truly want trading to become a profession, you must make a promise to yourself. I will not sacrifice capital for profit. I will not trade survival for the feeling of winning. I trade to live, not to win every day. I am a trader, not a gambler. If you understand even a small part of this, you've already stepped out of the crowd. The market will open tomorrow. Opportunities will return. Setups will still be there, as long as you are still alive. And if there's only one thing you should remember after everything you've heard, it's this. Profit is the reward. Capital is the ticket in. You can dream big, but first, make sure you're still qualified to dream. Because in trading, the one still standing always has the final chance.